Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, my name is Markus Hormess.
I am Jakob Schneider.
And yeah, we're going to talk about doing as the hard part. This has been, an amazing 2 days, 3 days for some of us, and for the Brazilian groups, even more nights. So let's get our heads free, maybe for a moment, before we start into this. Please, may I ask you to stand up and find a partner. Just stand up and find a partner. So one partner, so you just need the person next to you. You need a bit of, just stand up and find a partner. Great, yeah, stretch out. And I have a partner in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, everybody got a partner? Yes, fantastic. Right. So we're going to do a little exercise, and it's going to be a very, very easy exercise. We're going to count to 3, and we just take turns in counting to 3. It's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, failed. Damn it. Yeah, you know the trick? Try to be as fast as possible in counting to 3, taking turns. 3, 2, 1, go. And faster. And faster. Okay. Shh. Let me get your attention just for a second. Hold you right there. That was not too good, right? Sorry. So we make it simpler for you. It's been, maybe, the energy has been draining, so we make it simpler. So we take out the 1. 1 is a strange number. It's quite pointy. Can hurt yourself. Don't do that. So take out the 1, and instead of the 1, we replace the 1 just with a clap. So it's 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay, and off you go. Okay. Let me stop you again. Stop me again. Sorry. Yeah, this is still hard. I know. So the numbers are still confusing us. We take out the 2 as well. It's got a positioning problem. It's in the back. So take out the 2, and we replace it with a simple stomp. Right. So it's 3, 3. Okay, and off you go. Try this. Okay. Numbers. I should have known. I should have known. A room full of designers and numbers. We're not. Sorry. Okay. Take out the last number. And basically now it's going to be clap, stomp, and shimmy. Right? Okay? You get this? Clap, stomp, shimmy, taking turns. And off you go. Okay, excellent. Well done. Give yourself a round of applause. Well done. Thank you. And back to your seats.
Markus, why did you do this?
Why did we do this? Yeah, there's 2 reasons. Of course, just to bring back a bit of blood into our brains, because, we need to work like this. Sitting is not always the best way to, acquire knowledge. At the same time, maybe doing is the hard part. It's easy to say count to 3. It sounds simple. Let's do some movements. It sounds simple. As soon as you do it, it becomes slightly messy. And depending on your talents, some of these variations were easier than others. Some people might have, easy way with the numbers. Others might just like the movements, and some musicians, they don't care. They like everything, so they do whatever they like.
And this is what we like to talk about at the very last keynote today. Thank you for having us. Thank you for still being with us. Some had to leave. Unfortunately, doing is the hard part is what we want to talk about. And a humble suggestion about the 12 commandments of service design. Alex kindly already mentioned it, why we are allowed to stay here on stage, at least at this honorable slot. Thank you very much again. Are these books that's standing behind us, which we will talk about a little bit, and not about the practice behind it. Alex mentioned it, 4 people are behind it. It's Marcus, it's me, it's Mark Stickton and Adam Lawrence. These are the 4 people.
Yeah. Apart from all this, I'm Workday Experience Global Service Champ is another project that you might know. But also I'm a father of like 2 kids, like a 6-year-old who turns 7 soon, and my daughter just turned 11 months yesterday. Yeah. No, she's awesome. I miss her very much, but I appreciate the hotel sleep through, so it's...
I can second that, yes. As I said, I'm Jakob. I'm running a small design agency in Cologne, Germany, and also co-founder and CCO of More Than Metrics, providing software for service design, actually. And just recently, I joined the Dad Club, and I have a son of 2 years, which I, of course, miss as well. 2 people are missing today. It's Marc and Adam. Let's have a look. Where could Marc be? Do we have audio?
Unfortunately, it is one of the few service design global conferences.
Excuse that. I think now it should work. Yeah.
Hello, Dublin. Unfortunately, it is one of the few service design global conferences that I'm going to miss, but I have a really good reason for missing it. Because we're about to get a baby. I mean, now. Really, right now.
This is not made up.
It's a great conference.
Where's the other guy? Actually, we don't know.
No.
Something coming in.
Oh, okay.
Hi, this is Adam, and I can't be at the conference this week because I have I'm with a client doing some service design in a location I can't disclose. But I wish you all a great conference, and I just wanted to say I'll see you next year. Bye.
Yeah, sure. Adam is working. Apparently, he's with a client. We're sorry. The 2 of us must be enough for today. Okay, it's the final round. We will try to speed up a little bit. At first, we want to talk about this co-creative process with 300 individuals, which means creating this book. After that, we ask ourselves, do we have the standard process, or should we seek for the process standard, whatever that means? We will try to separate consulting versus doing. Yes, sounds catchy. Then we try to humbly share our 12 commandments from the book. And at the very end, we just briefly talk about some bullshit thing. Co-creation with 300 individuals. Alex pointed it out. I'm keeping this really short. And back in 2010, Marc and I published This is Service Design Thinking, just capturing the status of the field at that very moment. There has been a lot of critique about this book, which we deeply acknowledged, and we always knew that we, at some point, wanted to do a new one. Sorry. And this now happened in 2018, getting practical. Again, as back in the days where we also acquired co-authors from all over the world, we asked ourselves, who may write such a book? And a hint is in the background. Some people can be spotted there that are in the auditorium here as well. And at the end, a really impressive work came out with over 580 pages. This could have been even much, much more. We had over 200 online contributors, 96 co-authors in the book, and this is what we have now, what we're talking about. In the very early stage, over 200 people were invited to contribute to it, and it was a really large energy going on contributing to this book. And may I ask, who in this room contributed to this book, actually? Can you raise some fingers?
Raise your hands, raise your hands. I've seen so many of you. So ask them why they actually shared, their skills and knowledge with us. And what was their motivation?
And of course, Markus can share a little bit more about the co-creative process behind it, where it all comes from.
So where did it start? In 2013, and we started with our first school. So we teamed up with Marc and Adam, and we did an executive school called Service Design Doing. Practically all the tools in 5 days, and we did this in Berlin. If Vicky is still here, so she was part of that. So basically, that started the thinking. Because in these schools, and we've done many ever since, we of course had a little script that we shared with our participants. But from the early stages on, we also opened up this script to be co-creative. So we asked the participants to share their notes into this one document. And so not everybody had their own ones. And so this grew over time into like a 70, 80-page document. And at some point, we looked at each other and said, hey, that's a book in its own right. You know? So we could just do a project. And that was where it started. Because we thought it's almost finished anyway. Yeah, how wrong we were. So eventually, we started this project, and we started to write lots of things. We asked for contribution. They came in. We opened up all our first drafts on Google Docs to the community, and they beat the shit out of us, rightfully so, and we updated everything. We rewrote, and we actually made it into a script that we were all happy with. And then, of course, it got put into InDesign, and we had the static layouts going on. And eventually, after we were happy with that, we had the final book. If we look at this from service design process component, we had the diverge, converge. And of course, the first, and it was a couple of years since we started working on the first content. It was quite slow, and it accelerated hugely during the delivering. During the actual production of the book.
Yeah, from Markus' perspective, it looks that beautiful. From my perspective, being the lousy visual designer on the team, it was much more like this. This might look familiar to some people, especially in the third bubble there. You see some flashlights and some crunch mode phases, things like having 8-hour Skype calls 6 days in a row with Marc rearranging really things in this very static medium of a printed book. And this went directly through our mind. This is the model of our book, right? Of the process model. And it went through our book. Yeah, just use this process, use this model. It will guide you. They said, right? This didn't guide it. This didn't guide us. We had so many surprises during this process. So we actually want now to ask ourselves, is there a standard process? Of course, this is the rhetorical question. Or should we rather seek for a process standard? As I said, this graphic might look familiar to some people. We already had this in book 2010, this squiggle by Damien Newman. People even printed it on their shirts. Fuzzy front end were some buzzwords around it and so on. As we see, in our case, in our project, it worked totally differently. Right? And there's also a different focus from the end into the beginning, and we call it the mayhem. And looking back to the last 5 or 7 years of real consulting work, we all know it's not the squiggle, it's not even the mayhem. There are so many other versions, right? The lucky ones among you know the Autobahn, for example. For sure, everyone knows the black hole. What could be a fountain? What could be a maze, right? So there's very much a variety in it.
Okay, so when we look at this and we go back into our workshops and we talk to clients, and this is the phrase that we say: trust the process. Don't be worried, trust the process. Everything will be all right. And we do have a process. Let's look at this. For example, some people, we do a teaser workshop in 4 to 8 hours. Then, you come in and you do a download session of the knowledge that we have. You do a little, maybe a journey mapping. Then you develop some initial insights, do some ideation, do some explorative prototyping, present, and then you know a bit better what the problem might be about. That's a 1 day. Maybe, we move on to a 5-day sprint, which is quite hip these days, I heard. So you do some more prep research to feed into the 5 days, but then you actually do some interviews that you've lined up. You spend more time there, gathering lots of data, trying to break it down, visualize it, getting towards the opportunity areas through the insights, and then again, ideation, prototyping, some iterations on the prototyping, and actually testing with some real users. And at the end, you even turn around and do the business view maybe, and looking at, okay, if that's the experience we want to have, what does our organization have to do, service blueprint, and what is the business model? But is this service design already?
Is this the one process? For sure not. So here's another punchline. Don't trust one process, as we said. Actually, we should make tattoos from this as well, like these 10 tattoos. Because if you look at these different formats that we for sure all know, especially I'm thinking of like innovation challenges or pilot projects that we all need as door openers to get through a sales process, or to get a management buy-in, or even commitment from teams in general, compared to a two-year cultural change process, or even just the 5-day service design sprints. These are all so different formats with such different purposes. So we're pretty sure that we absolutely need to design each process itself. Said that once, yeah, but failed again when doing this book, in designing this process, and we were not prepared enough, as we have to say. So when we say design each process, is this just do whatever you like? No, not for sure not. We think we could identify some entities that we can work with, and this is for at once, it's the constant of converge and diverge. Call it the double diamond, don't call it like that, it doesn't matter. But we think this is really a constant through all the projects that we try to realize in a service design manner. Of course, we all have the constraints, time and budget at least. And we all think that we have to deeply acknowledge that the process itself is a very adaptable thing.
In the end, there's another constant, and it's actually the stuff that we do. It's activities, and we found, like four activity groups, and it's research, ideation, prototyping, and implementation, as you all know. So this is what we do, maybe different sequences. For the book, we actually chose a comprehensive selection that get you, through a project. However, this is just a first set that fits together quite nicely. There's so many other methods out there that actually can be much better for the project that you might be doing. So take everything that's out there and just use that as a guideline, and replace them as necessary. So what we're doing in service design, when we use all these methods, is to try to achieve a certain degree of freedom, because we want to be explorative. We want to be able to pivot when we realize this is not the project that we set out to do. This actually, the customers have some different problem at all. And we heard so many examples today where the project had to shift their focus. But what happens when we create more and more freedom within our project for everybody? Total freedom. What is total freedom? It slowly starts to creep in. It might come to anarchy. Because the more freedom you give in a small team that might be still working, as more people are involved, the more communication happens, and as soon as some people change course, they have to tell the others, and it becomes mayhem if you do not do that. So, of course, the more people you have on your project, the more structure you really need. So, however, we know this from improv theater. In improv theater, there is a lot of freedom. There is no story, there is no script. There's just an idea and a few rules, but these rules are important. So basically, this is the saying that what we learned from improv theater is the more freedom you want in whatever you do, and this applies to service design projects, the more structure you really need. And structure is something that we can give, right?
And we love it, right?
Yeah.
Since the very first service design conferences, okay, I've not been at the first ones, but structure is a thing that is in every second presentation, and we have models, and we like structure. We can sell structure. We can explain what we do along structure. Yeah, there have been these guys. They, for example, suggested to have this is super easy.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good.
4 clear steps.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
What was it? Research, creation, reflection, implementation. You have that, and everything's fine, right? Or was it? No, it was
7 stages. Yeah. Yeah, but there's this jewelry model. Was that this jewelry?
Jewelry?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Double diamond.
This solves everything for you, I think. If you rely on it.
Ooh, no. 5. Yeah, 5 faces. Excellent. Yes, of course. But isn't there? Like, shouldn't there be more like circular?
Markus is a complex thinker. We got him covered. If you have the circular sign circles, everything's cool, and you are prepared for every situation. That was what we were thinking, actually. Is this real advice for ourselves, for our clients even, to hand over these models, this visual things? Is it that? I mean, look at the agency websites, and I'm not looking at any particular. We are very, very guilty of that, right? Very guilty of that. But on top of these models, each agency also has their own wording, and then the companies and clients also have their own wording, and so on and so on. So does this all really help to get our ideas across? We don't think so.
In the end, it comes back to activities, because this is what we do. And if we have a certain challenge ahead of us, we look at all the activities that we could do, and we basically design the process. So we pick what we need based on the suitable and feasible activities. It might, it needs to match your organization. It needs to match the maturity level within your team members, maybe in terms of this service design stuff that you're doing. And also, of course, it needs to be working together with all your constraints that you're having. And so in the end, we go through this step by step, and at some steps we look back and ask ourselves, okay, has that worked? What should we do better? And also, what should we do better in terms of the methods that we use? And then we adapt and we move forward. So one thing that I can give you as advice, I think, is it good enough? Because it's not about the process, it's also not about designing the process, it's about moving forward and moving your project forward. And one thing that we learned with the book, and especially maybe me, because it was the first one that I was involved in, sometimes a discussion can be cut short, because if you know that later in the process you're going to change this freaking text over and over again anyway, because you have to squeeze it on a page and the visuals has to fit, then you do not discuss forever on a certain paragraph. You just move on. And that's a learning that you only get when you go through the whole process at least once, and then you know, okay, how good enough? How good is good enough, or does it have to be at this stage?
But where are we now? When we are really killing models, not we, and say it's only about not randomly, but choosing activities, where are we now? What can we relate to? And in the book, we have a pretty neat section where we have the 12 commandments, which is basically the synthesis of all the things that we learned across the process, together with the community, together especially with the co-authors. Some heavy discussions have been going on. And we would like to present them to you really briefly, and we are very happy that we found one person of the community and of the book community to present it to you. Number 1, my favorite one, call it what you like. And we have Jürgen talking about this.
At Genesis, we even call it SMART, because by putting the customer in the center, by co-creating experiences with the service design toolkit, we found a smart way to make a significant impact, not just for our customers, but also for our employees and on the business results. So if you're looking to make a difference, it's smart to start.
So for Jürgen, it's smart, and it works in his organization. And so it works, and so it's fine.
Okay. The next one, make shitty first drafts. And we have Fernando talking about this for his organization.
Shitty first drafts, or lousy first drafts, as we call them in PwC, are an essential component of our strategy to make design thinking implementable inside the organization. And we had a recent example with the learning and development organization where we actually conceptualized a new process for e-learns. And before we decided to just go ahead and implement it as we thought would be the right way, we took a step back and decided to prototype it and review it before taking it live. And we discovered there were a lot of things that could be improved, and that if we would have gone live directly, we probably would have failed.
A lot of organizations are really, really good at implementation. A lot of big projects getting started just by a really good slide. And getting through this takes time and effort to take people aboard and actually be brave enough to take shitty first ideas on the table and let other people play with it to make them better.
Number 3, you are a facilitator. Something very difficult for me on the long way, definitely. And we have Simon. Tell us something about it.
There's 3 reasons for this. 1, you are inherently user-centric or customer experience-centric in your approach. 2, you integrate different viewpoints and different disciplines. Design has always integrated function, production, and aesthetics. Or in design thinking terms, feasibility, viability, desirability. This makes you good in terms of running teams with multiple viewpoints. And 3, you're very good at visualization. By visualizing what's happening in a meeting, different possibilities, and especially what-if situations, as a designer, you bring the team together and you create a shared ownership for things. So 3 reasons why you should go out as designers and facilitate teams.
So we can be facilitators, and we have to be facilitators when we design systems together with people.
Number 4, doing, not talking. And this is something close to my heart, not just because of the chance. We have Clara talk us through this.
Last year, one of us had the idea to bring the Tupperware party concept to Tanzania. While prototyping the format with existing staff in neighboring communities, quickly let us drop it as a sales strategy, we realized that we just found a genius approach to train our own employees. Mobi dinners were organized across the countries and helped them empathize with Mobisoul's customers and their needs.
Doing, not talking is such a strong concept, but again, we struggle against the patterns that we find in organizations that like to compare opinions instead of just doing it and looking at the results and then talk about it later and make a decision.
Yes, but and yes, and. Much typography going on there. Belina has something to say about this.
So yes, and is a magical thing which helps people in organizations to consider things that they haven't considered before, either putting ideas together or thinking about resources in a different way, in a new way. It gets you to a new place. Yes, but if used well, is actually useful for understanding certain problems that might be in the field, for understanding constraints or certain criteria that need to be considered as part of the problem. But yes, but if done poorly, shuts down conversation. So be careful when you're using yes, but, not to be a dick. Thanks, bye.
Sounds so trivial and so simple, and is yet so hard to do. Markus can tell you stories about that, about me.
Number 6, find the right problem before solving it right. And it's our own Birgit who's going to talk about this.
A very nice colleague of mine, Albert Einstein, is supposed to have said that if he had 1 hour to rescue the world, he would spend 59 minutes on understanding the problem and 1 minute on solving it. And I think that's a really great approach. The better we have understood the problem, the easier it is to find the solution. But I think there is still a challenge for us service designers to better understand how do we get from all the insights that we have gathered in the research to framing the question. And sometimes it seems like a piece of gut feeling and magic. And I think there is a piece of research to be done on how to be better and more structured in translating the insights and the informations into real knowledge and into good questions.
Nothing to add here. Thank you.
Prototype in the real world. Lauren is telling us a story about this.
The way that we learn is by doing stuff that might not work. This is how we're taught to design products and services, and we're really great at prototyping. Yet so few of us prototype how we work together, and I believe that if you don't want your ideas to end up on the ash heap of history, if you don't want to kick yourself every time someone else beats you to implementation, and you don't want your revolutionary startup to implode, it's time to prototype how your organisation works together just as fervently as your design process.
We're not just designing a poster, though I personally love designing posters, but we're not just designing a poster, we're designing, as again, systems. For example, just take a simple corporate website. It just won't work if after conceptualizing it and drawing it and drafting it and developing it, you don't have a concept for how the publishing process works in the next years. I think many of you have witnessed a situation like this, right? You have a beautiful concept, beautiful ideas for publishing, but nobody is really capable, enabled to doing it.
Okay, and number 8, don't put all your eggs in one basket. There's an accident right there. And it's Stefan who talks us through this.
So when we think about design to deliver, it's very tempting to really focus on the one killer idea and put it out there. And I think it's important to try to broaden things a little bit, go in a rhythm and try several things, get feedback, adjust, and pulse around to get much more rich feedback and still focus on delivery.
The same is true for choosing methods. So, you look at the concept of triangulation in research. Don't just rely on one research method, but use a couple so you actually can validate whatever you do.
Number 9, it's not about the tools. Still, we all love tools. It's about changing reality. And Alex has something to say about it.
It's not about the tools. It's about the value that you can deliver, that the tools help you to deliver. It's not about the templates, it's not even about the personas, it's certainly not about the blueprints. It's about the reality that you can change in an organization, inside people, inside a movement. It's about that change, that's the important thing. We are change agents. We are not creators of beautiful tools. Other people can do that, that's fine. But what we are about is making a fundamental difference to the way we live, the way we work, the way we play, the way we get better in hospital, all of those things. It's about the outcome, not the output.
So as you could also say, customer journey is not a thing deliverable. Max Stickler would love this sentence.
And number 10, plan for iteration and then adapt. And Heike from Amsterdam.
Iteration is very important for your project. You have a focus and a rough plan, but you will always find new insights that reframe your problem. For example, we are working on the transition to clean energy. Our initial research pointed to global opportunities, but working with 5 teams in different cities around the world, we iterated to local issues, like waste in Mexico City, or food in Nairobi, or building in New Delhi.
The key here is plan for iteration, not planning of the iteration. We can only prepare, and then we're better prepared when we have to adapt. And this is something that we need to learn in projects, and the organizations that we work with need to learn step by step.
Zoom in and zoom out. We have German explaining us his thoughts about it.
Connecting the strategy to the detailed execution across touchpoints is critical for any service designer, which is why being able to zoom in and out and operate at different levels of zoom is extremely important.
When you think of a high-level customer journey that's just giving you a bird's eye perspective of a maybe year-long service experience, I think it's lovely how Jamin connects this one to the strategy, while we all know under this high-level journey lie many, many smaller journeys. I mean, they're not small, but they lie underneath, and they are then really about the details, about the craft of a service, of a product experience that finally make or break it, or make us love or not love it. And this is why it's so important to have the strategy in mind, the whole concept and the bigger picture, and of course, the little details.
And finally, it's all services. Maurizio, what's it about?
Yes, it's all service. Some anthropologists even describe human society as a total service system. After all, there's nothing produced by humans that can be assessed without service. try to access an object without the service of craftsmanship. Logistics, marketing, engineering, it's impossible. And this is one of the most exciting aspects of service design. The opportunity to weave a little bit of novelty into the fabric of humanity.
Excellent.
Makes you goosebumps.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fabric of humanity.
Thank you for all the contributors, and maybe a big round of applause for the contributors of the sessions and the book, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. So back to us, to the bullshit. Yeah, as I said, we are both consultants. We do the bullshit sometimes. We feel, but we say sometimes at least we feel ashamed for it, and we just wanted to share some thoughts about that.
Okay, so one thing that we saw over the last couple of years is that the service design community is maturing, and we heard this over and over again, and you see it actually in the type of projects that we are presented here. Many agencies now compete on eye level with big business consultancies, or now became part of these consultancies. Of course, with that comes a bigger responsibility, and at least for us, I think, we constantly have to remind ourselves not to actually become what we set out not to be. Because there were certain bugs in that, and we have a different way that we want to approach consulting and the whole business. And this is very much aligned with the service design foundations. Because, if we go to a client, we say, people don't want a drill, they want a, quarter-inch hole, that's fine. Actually, they don't want even a quarter-inch hole. What they actually want is a hook in the wall for the nice family picture. They want a nice living room. So the same thing applies maybe for what we offer, service design. So people don't necessarily want service design. They want their problem solved or whatever they need to do, and we need to help them with that. Sounds a bit trivial. Okay.
We would like to point you to a rather visual thing about what we're doing here. We tried to count the Postits in the last 2 days on the slides, and the good news is there haven't been too many. And each year it's getting fewer and fewer and fewer, and we think this is really a good thing because we are at a certain point where we now can type in service design into a search stock search engine. And what does it bring us? Postits. Yeah, because we love Postits. They make a nice cover. They show creativity. They show hands-on working, getting your hands dirty, right? Oh, I think there's a customer journey workshop going on. There are some process mappings and how engaged everyone is. See how they are discussing it. You know that situation when we are standing there pointing to it? Look at this Post-it. Look what I'm... For sure you know this situation, having a phone call with your mother during the... So is this service design? Is this how we should talk about service design? How we should visualize it? How we should present it? We think, no. Again, we're very guilty. Look at the cover of the book. No, but in reality, when we, for example, look at something like a mobility experience, in the broadest sense of the word, isn't it about situations like this that we want to design, to understand, or to empathize with? Or to make and break the service, isn't it even this situation that counts? Isn't the magic maybe here, happening here? Or even some complex thing that we all maybe don't understand right now, like here? What is it with hospitality? Isn't the magic taking place here? And where it gets hectic and fast? Based on long traditional concepts? Where it gets dirty again? Aren't these the situations that we have to deal about, that we have to empathize with, and that we have to document, and that we have to explain that we improved them and why? Or to have a last one, aviation. We want to know what she's thinking and how she feels right now. Or what he's doing, and is he enjoying the flight? Why not? What's going on with him? Why is he sitting there?
Where are his parents?
And isn't the magic taking place maybe here to improve the experience? Just some thoughts.
We're almost there. we're almost at the end of 2, and for some of you, 3 exciting days of input, of conversations. And you already, you might have filled all your notebooks, and there will be a time when you hopefully sit back and go through all that stuff and pick out the ones that you say, okay, these are the key learnings. And maybe you want to start that cognitive journey right here. I would like to ask you now to again find a partner. But in this case, usually you're sitting with people that you know. Please find a partner maybe in the row behind you that you have not talked to during the conference yet. If you have to kind of move 10 people to get to someone, maybe yes, you can still talk to other people. But in case they're close, just choose one. And to find a partner, you have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, pi, 3, Euler's number, 2, 1, and whoever is now next to you is your partner. And maybe it's also pairs of 3, if that's possible. Okay. Okay, here's the task. In your little team, briefly discuss what were the key moments of this conference for you. Think about yesterday, the morning, the drums. Think about the first keynotes, getting in here, the welcomes. Think also about the first breaks. Who did you meet? The workshops, the evening discussions over a glass of red wine or whatever it was. So what were the key moments? And what of this will actually help you to actually deliver service design when you leave and you're back in your jobs next week, or back at home next week, wherever you want to apply that. You have a few minutes to discuss these points. And go. Let's do our selfie.
Oh, it's a video. Oh, no.
Okay, and we've got 20 seconds. And come to a close in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Thank your partner. I invite you to continue this conversation after the session. Give yourself a round of applause for this. Thank you.
So let's call this good enough. Thank you all very much for having us. Thank you for this awesome conference.
I'm Markus.
I'm Jakob.
Who's who? I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a great travel home.
Bye-bye.